Welcome once more, agents. Most people is afraid of death, but only a few are aware of the horrors that await those who are ignored by the river. People aware of such destiny call it Omega K, End of Death. SCP-3287 is an object supposedly developed by personnel of the SCP Foundation with such knowledge, created to deal with population control issues. Pay close attention, for its effects are much more than it would seem at first glance. Item number SCP-3287. Object Class Thaumiel. Special Containment Procedures. At any time, no more than 50 Standard Regulation Class E liquid gas cylinders of each type of SCP-3287 may exist. These canisters are to be stored in a vacuum-sealed chamber at 112 Kelvin degrees and handled only by personnel equipped with gas-proof hazardous material suits. SCP-3287-0 is to remain within 1 meter of the sealed container it was discovered in, and its quantum reality anchor regularly maintained and replaced when needed. During tests with an instance of SCP-3287, test subjects are to be escorted into a designated vacuum-sealed testing area. SCP-3287 is to be pumped into the area for 1 minute, then recollected. Subjects are then to be escorted out of the testing area by properly equipped guards through an airlock, while any remaining SCP-3287 is to be recollected and contained. SCP-3287 may be used on animal and human populations in the case of an Omega K class end of death scenario, with approval from the O5 Council and Ethics Committee. Description: SCP-3287 is the designation for a gaseous sterilization agent created by the Foundation for the purposes of reducing and controlling the populations of certain anomalous and non-anomalous animal species. Since its creation, which was for the purposes of containing the spread of SCP, it has been used on other anomalies and certain non-anomalous animals. SCP-3287 is gaseous at room temperature, liquid at 112 degrees Kelvin, and is non-flammable. It is characterized by its light blue color and a unique aroma described by subjects as similar to licorice. Upon coming in contact with a living subject, SCP-3287 dissolves, losing its gaseous properties as it is absorbed. SCP-3287 has 3 different types, designated SCP-3287-1, SCP-3287-2, and SCP-3287-3. All types of SCP-3287 are nearly identical in chemical composition, but are distinguished by unique anomalous compounds that supposedly alter their effects. SCP-3287-1 is the first type of SCP-3287, and also the type with the most documented information. After application to a living subject, SCP-3287-1 completely sterilizes them, preventing them from being able to reproduce. This has been used to artificially preserve certain species of animals in the wild by sterilizing their predators, and has been used to prevent certain anomalous species of animals from creating offspring, as mentioned above. SCP-3287-1 may be used on humans, but requires Level 4 approval before use. SCP-3287-2 is the second type of SCP-3287. Despite being similar in composition to SCP-3287-1, its function is currently unknown. Although several tests have been scheduled and attempted to determine the function of SCP-3287-2, none of these were completed on account of the fact that all randomly selected D-class and animal test candidates were already sterile before the test began. An endeavor to only select test candidates who are not sterile has not been attempted. SCP-3287-3 is the third type of SCP-3287. There is no documentation of any attempted test with SCP-3287-3. SCP-3287-0 is the designation for the document detailing the process to create SCP-3287 instances. SCP-3287-0 was discovered in a secure Foundation chemical laboratory outside on September 28, 20, during a routine sanitary examination sealed in a glass box, accompanied by a single miniaturized quantum reality anchor. The instructions have since been copied to the Foundation database, along with the message discovered on the final page, which has been transcribed below. Message written on SCP-3287-0.
We screwed up. Count Prox. -3. Only used during bad Omega K. Rest are good. Tell my family I love them.
Dr. Kaito Shoga Jr. According to Foundation personnel records, there is not a researcher by the name of Kaito Soga Jr. employed by the Foundation. When asked, Site Director Kaito Shoga said he had never had children, and he had discovered he was sterile after multiple attempts at a child with his wife. End law. The SCP file ends here. Next, I'm sharing with you the delicate conclusions reached by our assessment teams at the GOC about this anomaly. If you stay, it will be up to you if our theories are trustworthy. Don't be fooled by the statements given by the SCP Foundation. Reading between the lines of this document, one can realize that the Foundation is well aware of the full properties of the anomaly. Its effects are always the same, causing directed and permanent infertility to its victims, but its properties are increasingly more effective with each iteration of 3287. According to the document, the second variety of SCP-3287 has never been tested with subjects who were previously capable to reproduce. This is a clear sign of paradoxical memetic properties, capable of altering time itself. SCP-3287-2 not only neuters its victims, but it also alters reality so that the subject was never able to reproduce. Knowing this about the functioning of the anomaly, the properties of its most potent variety are easier to explain. SCP-3287-3 effect no longer manifests directly on its victim. Instead, they are suffered by their parents themselves. This causes a paradoxical and irreversible alteration of the timeline, causing the subject to have never been born in the first place. It's for this reason that SCP-3287-0 must be held by a reality anchor in order to remain present in our timeline. The person who wrote that note was never born, since their parents were never capable to reproduce. Which takes us to the Omega K scenario. Due to its paranoiac nature, the SCP Foundation has created numerous simulations about possible world-ending catastrophes, one of which described a grim future in which living beings stop dying. In this daunting future, immortality is present in each creature on the planet, but pain, injuries, and consequences remain with them forever, unable to be ended by the sweet release of death. A true hell on earth. It is because of this horrible simulation that the Foundation developed a substance capable to destroy reality itself, releasing SCP-3287-3 during the end of that scenario would release its immortal victims from their inescapable fate. But these agents are mere suppositions. The reality is that the SCP Foundation created yet another anomaly capable of destroying life as we know it, and even reality itself. We cannot allow that this literal ticking bomb, created out of fear for the unknown, brings an early doom upon ourselves, or even worse, a self-fulfilled prophecy. Anomalies must be eradicated. Normalcy must be preserved. Humanity must be protected. I am Virostris Anonymous. We are the GOC, and you have been informed.